Now what we want to do is go back the other way. If we're given a decimal, we want to make a percent. Okay, so if we're given a decimal this time, we want to make a percent. So we're going to do the opposite of what we did before. Before, when we wanted to make a percent a decimal, we divided by 100%. So this time we want to multiply by 100%. We want to multiply by 100%. But let's remember, when we multiply by 100 in decimals, that meant all we did was move the decimal 2 places to the right. So in essence, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right and add the percent symbol. Okay, we want to move the decimal 2 places to the right and add the percent symbol. So to change a decimal to a percent, to change a decimal to a percent, to make a percent, we're going to multiply by 100%. Okay, let's look at an example. We want to write 0.2674 as a percent. We want to make this decimal a percent. So we're going to take 0.2674 and multiply by 100%. Multiplying basically says I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the right, which gives me 26.74%. Multiplying by 100 says move the decimal 2 places to the right, and we get 26.74%. This is our percent form for that decimal. Let's look at a second example. We want to write 4 as a percent. So we want to take 4 and multiply by 100%. Well, 4 times 100 is 400%. Remember, if we have the decimal here, it's always after the number, move 2 places. It says we would have to add 2 zeros. 4 times 100% is 400%. Okay, next example, we want to write 0.03 as a percent. So we're going to take 0.03 and multiply by 100%, which is going to give us, move the decimal 2 places, 3%. Multiply 0.03 times 100 and we get 3%. How are we doing? Well, it's practice time. Okay. First practice problem. We want to write 3.4% as a decimal. We want to write, the second example is write 0.009% as a decimal. The third problem is write 6.03 as a percent. And the fourth one is to write 0.576 as a percent. The first one again is write 3.4% as a decimal. The second one is to write 0.009% as a decimal. The third one is to write 6.03 as a percent. And the last one is to write 0.576 as a percent. Remember, to change a percent to a decimal, we divide by 100%. To make a decimal percent, we multiply by 100%. Stop the tape, do the problems, and then come back and check your answers. Okay, the answers to these is, the first one is 0.034. The second one is 0.00009. That's 4 zeros and a 9 after the decimal. The The third one is 603%. And the fourth one is 57.6%. If you have any questions, ask a math tutor or a lab instructor, and they'll be glad to help any way they can. Okay, as I promised, we are going to now look at percents in relationship to fractions. To write a percent as a fraction, we're going to do the same thing. If we're trying to get rid of the percent, we're going to divide by 100%. We're still going to divide by 100%. But since we want it in fraction form, we actually want to put it as a fraction and then simplify our answer. To write a percent as a fraction, we want to divide by 100% and simplify. Okay, our first example, we want to write 16% as a fraction. So we're going to take 16% and divide by 100%. The percents are going to cancel, and then we need to reduce 16 over 100 to lowest terms. Now, what number divides both 16 and 100? I believe 4 is the largest value, so 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 divides 100 25 times. So the fractional value for 16% is 4 over 25. We take the percent and divide by 100%. Reduce will give us our fractional value. These are equivalent. Our second example is we want to take 311% and write it as a fraction. So we're going to take 311% and divide by 100%. The percents cancel, and then this will not reduce. Nothing will divide both 311 and 100, but we can change that to 100 divides 311 3 times with 11 left over. So we get 3 and 11 100%. 3 and 11 100%. So we write it as a mixed number. We write it as a mixed number. We need to change a percent to a fraction. To change a percent, we divide by 100%. To get rid of the percent, we divide by 100% because they mean the same thing. Our third example is we want to write 0.4% as a fraction. We want to change 0.4% as a fraction. Now remember, to change a percent to a fraction, we're going to take the percent and divide by 100%. And that leaves us 0.4 over 100. But that's not a fraction. In order to be a fraction, we have to have a whole number over a whole number. So we need to multiply 4/10 by something to get rid of the decimal. So we multiply by the power of 10, however many decimal places we have. So we're going to multiply by 10 over 10. Multiply 4/10 times 10 and we get 4. Multiply 100 times 10 and we get 1,000. So we can't leave our answer like this because it has a decimal in it. Fractions can't have a decimal in their numerator or denominator if they're reduced. So we multiply by 10 over 10, and then now we need to reduce this. 4 over 1,000. See, 4 divides itself one time, and 4 divides 1,000 250 times. So that tells me that 0.4% is equivalent to 1 over 250 in fractional form. This is what we were looking for. Remember, to change from a percent to a fraction, we divide by 100%.